Today I'll be talking about PROXMOX Virtual Environment VE7.
Hello, my name is Amjad Ali and I'm an enterprise IT enthusiast and business intelligence expert. I created SyncBricks to make information technology simple for everyone. Subscribe to my channel to get the latest tips, tricks and recommendations related to enterprise IT, general IT, home lab, gadgets and more. If you find my content helpful, please give me a thumbs up and share the video with others. Let us begin the video.
PROXMOX Virtual Environment VE7. This is in fact a major release by the Proxmox, and there are improvements in terms of the environment, storage, the VM technology, container technology, and then I'll be talking about why I moved to PROXMOX VE7. Major release is based on Debian 11 Bull Ice. This is the base system. Modern Linux 5.11, Ceph-specific 16.2 for the storage, and ZFS is also upgraded to 2.0.0. These are the major improvements. Butterfuzz target is available for the installation. In the GUI itself, you can disable the repositories or enable the repositories. Then you can download the ISO file directly from the URL. Single sign-on technology is integrated with this. You can use OpenID Connect. Then is Markdown support notes, which helps you for the documentation purpose. So my existing tutorial is available on version 6.3, which is available here in the description below. You can see the link of that. Earlier tutorial that I made was based on the production environment in my workplace. But now I decided that for my home lab, I should have the PROXMOX VE. Right now, if I show you, my home network looks like this. So my internet is connected to Sophos XG Firewall Home Edition. I am using Cisco switch, which is connecting my complete home lab. And home lab has the kids network to ensure that they access only what they are required to access. At the same time, through Wi-Fi network, I have content filtering family network available. And kids zone is also created inside this. So when they are watching the TV or when they are using the laptops or when they are using smartphones. At the same time, when the guests are coming, they are unable to gain access to my network. My home lab is consisting of my current workstation from where I'm talking right now to you. I have Synology NAS, which is my storage server, Ubuntu server, which I'm using Home Assistant for my home automation system, Raspberry Pi. This works as a broker server for different IoT devices, which I'm using at my home. Raspberry Pi for different testing purposes. I have a PC where I use different open source operating systems or other platforms or other systems to test. As you can see, I have many devices in my home lab, which I can definitely replace if I use a virtualization server.
And definitely PROXMOX VE is my choice because I have already tested it. And I will be going for a hardware server. And on top of hardware, I'll be installing PROXMOX VE, which will help me to create various VMs. In fact, PROXMOX is gonna be my choice to have the freedom of having various virtual machines and various containers. Like I can have Sophos and pfSense. Instead of hardware, I can have a VM and it will give me the same power. And Ubuntu servers, which I'm using for various purposes and for testing purposes, so I can use them, and even Windows 11 or any other operating system. So I don't need to have a hardware. In few clicks, I can just get a VM ready. And then I can have Docker installed as a VM, and then to test various containers like Home Assistant, Hemdel, MQTT Broker, which I was using a separate Raspberry Pi, WordPress, and other Pi-hole and any other containers I can have within the
PROXMOX virtual environment. So my final decision was to buy a server. So I did all the research. There were two deals available. So option one was to go for HPDL 360 generation 8, which had 64 GB RAM, but there was no hard disk. Another offer actually, which was a better version, same server generation 8 with 180 GB RAM and 4 SAS drives. So in fact, I got a call right now, so I'll be going and taking that server. So let me show you that as well.
Okay, here is the server.
So I'm giving to brother Mir. Mir, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, so here I have got the server.
And I need to make sure it is perfect. So I'll open this first. And once I open, I can see that the RAM is properly installed. And before doing anything, I need to make sure that the battery is replaced. So I have got new RS2032 battery which has to be replaced. A CMOS battery has to be replaced, and once the battery is replaced, then I will boot up the server.
Before I dive into the installation of my server, in fact, so let me tell you what is the recommended hardware. So processor must be 64-bit. In the BIOS setting, you need to enable VT or VTX flag. In most of the servers today, and in even the server that I have got, virtualization environment is already enabled by default. Minimum RAM is 2 GB required for the operating system, and for every 1 TB storage, you need to have a 1 GB of minimum RAM. Ceph also needs memory, and depending upon what type of other add-ons you are going to install, so accordingly your RAM requirements will increase. So operating system storage.
If you have hardware RAID available, then I will recommend to use hardware RAID for the operating system installation. However, if you don't have hardware RAID, then you can use the multiple SSDs and you can create ZFS for the software RAID. And at the same time, for VM storage and for other storage purpose, you can use the hardware RAID, which is always recommended for the fault tolerance. And if you are not having hardware RAID, then you can have your multiple disks and then you can create the ZFS software RAID. And ZFS and Ceph is not available in any of the hardware RAID. So if you have configured hardware RAID, then ZFS and Ceph storage will not be configured.
So redundant network facilities available. So gigabit NICs is recommended. Additionally, if you want to have the pass-through NICs, so you can have additional network card which can be passed through to a specific VM. For clustering setup also, you need to have the network interface cards. We have to now go for the installation. Okay, so we'll download Proxmox, go for the Proxmox Virtual Environment, and latest images will be available here. Download this image. So I have already downloaded the image. So for the installation media, I have already used a USB flash disk for this, and recommended by Proxmox is to use Rufus for this purpose. So I have created using Rufus. And when you write this, make sure that you write the DD image. A DD image is recommended. The installation media is written. So I'll just start my server now. So ILO is right now already started. So through ILO, I can access it. Now I'll quickly take you through the graphical user interface for the installation. I will not repeat the guided installation process. Again, it is similar to what I have explained in version 6.3, and you can see the link in the description below or top here somewhere in the link above. Okay, so I have completed the installation using this configuration. Installation is done in a hardware RAID of RAID 10, which is 2 drives of 300 GB SAS, and then 2 drives of 900 GB SAS will be used for the storage and the VM images. The Synology will be used for the backup, which is external to Proxmox server. And of course, when there will be a need for additional storage, I'll use that as a storage.
So I will not be wasting much of your time in explaining how I have done the configuration of each and every aspect of Proxmox, but I'll take you to the outcome of what I have configured, and each and every configuration aspect, be it storage, network, or other aspects, will be covered in separate videos. So here is the outcome of this, and right now my Proxmox is fully configured in my home lab, and this is Proxmox Virtual Environment 7.0, and here is the SSL certificate which is already configured. This is the subdomain of my primary domain, and which is local to the current network. I'll show you to my data center. In data center, only one node is configured and there is no other node available as a cluster. So we'll forget about cluster. Ceph I have not configured because I'm using hardware RAID as a storage. This is the storage inside the data center, that which kind of storage is available. So I have NFS storage available, I have directory storage, LVM thin, and again directory. So LVM thin and directory is from one drive, and LVM thin and directory is from another drive, and NFS as is created. And what type of contents can be stored here? You can see that this is my network storage, and this can store all these contents. So I'll now take you to the backup. So I'm taking the backup of these VMs which are important on Synology NAS, which is NFS storage, and the users are created here. Now we'll go to PVE, which is my first node and the only node available on my Proxmox data center, and it shows me all the information. In summary, I can look at the performance of my hardware, whether it is CPU or RAM. Notes, as I mentioned, that this will help you to document each and every aspect of the PROXMOX VE. So I can configure, I can write anything I want here, so that whenever I want to do the configuration again, so I will refer to it. Now, as you can see that I have mentioned here 300 GB into 2 SAS storage, BAY1 and BAY2, and which is configured as RAID 1. And this is also configured for Proxmox operating system, and these two storages are configured in RAID in BAY3 and BAY4 as RAID 1 for the storage. Now, if I take you to the storage directly, to the drives directly from here, so I can show you these are two disks, and one disk is RAID 1, which is from 2 SAS drives 300 GB, and another is RAID 1, which is 900 GB 2 drives. So right now it is sufficient for my few of the VMs, and additionally I have this NFS also configured in my data center. So this particular partition is LVM, where LVM thin and storage is configured, and this partition is also configured LVM, and within this boot and EFI is also configured at the time of installation. So these are the two disks. And after this, if I take you to the network, if I click on create, it will show you that we have three aspects mainly here, which is bridge, bond and VLAN, which comes from the port mainly. So port is your base of your network. So I have two network interface cards here. So each card has 4 ports. So ENO 1, 2, 3 and 4, these are 4 ports available in one network card, and these are 4 physical ports available in second network card. Then I have created bridge. So for example, with this particular bridge, I created this bridge to connect my Proxmox directly with the internet gateway, so that I can get the internet connection directly from the gateway. So this is my one physical card which is directly connected to the internet gateway, and this is connected to ENO 3, which is the physical port. And then I have created another bridge, VMBR0, which is connecting two ports, two physical ports, ENO 1 and ENO 2. These are actually bridged for, this is bridge for the NAS. So NAS storage is directly connected to this particular bridge, Synology NAS, which I mentioned you here. This Synology NAS is directly connected to my Proxmox using this particular port, and these two ports are connected to VMBR2 bridge. And lastly, VMBR0, which is my LAN network. It has all the other remaining ports, for example ENO4, and all these ports ENS2F0, 2F1, 2F2 and 2F3, these are all connected here. So it helps me to use these all ports as a switch, because other computers and this computer where I'm recording right now, this is also connected to one of the ports here. So which is working as a switch, physical switch, as well as the physical ports, ports for the other bridges also. So I can have the bond also, I can create the bonding of these ports also if I want to have better bandwidth. So I can create the bond of multiple ports also here, but right now it is not my requirement. So I will be using these 4 cards, these 4 ports, which will pass through to pfSense, and from there I'll be able to segregate the networks physically through the pfSense firewall. So the purpose of having this network card was that I will be doing the pass through to the VM, and these will be used for the Proxmox. So this is all about the network configuration. Now we'll see the shell. I can directly go into my command line, and from here, if I want to see the storage details pose, so I can see the repository details pose. This is repository, source list, and other aspects also are available here. I can reboot, I can ping, I can check the configuration of any VM here. For example, this is the configuration of VM, and if I want to add or remove any disk from here. So these are all the options which I can directly access through shell. And of course, you should not be doing any mess if you are not aware how to change the configurations. And if I want to stop any VM, I can do that as well from here. So these are the previous commands that I used. Inside system, network, I have explained you certificates. As I mentioned that I have created the certificate from SSL certificate for proxmox.amjadali.com from Let's Encrypt, and I have then updated here. So that I have explained in another video. DNS server, I have configured the internal and external DNS servers here. Host name, these are by default host names. Time, you can change the setting of your time zone and other aspects. System log, it will give you all the system log, what is happening on your Proxmox server. Updates, as I mentioned earlier, that repositories can be directly changed here. Instead of going into CLI, you can enable and disable the repositories. For example, enterprise repository is disabled, so I can enable that, and it will show me that you can't use this without the subscription. Of course, I need to buy the subscription if I want to use enterprise subscription. So I can simply disable this, and other aspects, other sources as enabled, because these are the repositories which must be available, and this is the test repository of PROXMOX VE which is enabled. So I have enabled them. However, I can disable that as well. I'll go back to the network, and one important thing which I want to mention here, that if you make any changes here, for example, network bridge for NAS, I can now directly apply the configuration, and without need of IF up down 2, this will now apply the configuration. I don't need to go to the CLI again to look for the updates or to check the updates. I can simply click on updates, refresh the updates. It will refresh the updates from here. So apt-get update command, it's running directly here, and it will look for all the repositories. It has updated all the repositories. Now if I again do the upgrade, so it will open the CLI and it will run the upgrade as well. So if I press yes, it will install all the new updates which are available for the Proxmox test environment or for Debian core installation. So I'll simply minimize this, and we'll go to other aspects. Firewall, I'm not using the firewall of Proxmox. I have external firewall, so internal to network, it doesn't make any difference to me. So ZFS is not configured because I'm using hardware RAID. Ceph I'm not using because I'm using other configuration of RAID. These are all related to Ceph. Then we have the replication. If we are using multiple nodes, then we can do the replication of the server, which is not required here. Task history, if I'm running any tasks for the backups, so it is showing me all the tasks, and if I'm switching on or switching off any VM, so it will show me that as well. And then finally the subscription. If you have any subscription available, you can remove the subscription, or you can upload any subscription key if enterprise subscription is available. And simply, if you have any subscription and you want to remove that, you can remove the subscription directly from here. You can search for any VM here. For example, Windows 2019 server, I wanted to search, I can do it from here. This particular portion will show you all the nodes. You can see it by the server view or by the folder view, storage view. So these type of two storages are available, or by the pool view. So these are all LXC containers or the VMs. I have now moved all the physical machines here. I have Sophos firewall, Untangle firewall. Currently I'm using pfSense as a firewall. FreePBX is installed for the VoIP local. And these are all the containers. Pi-hole is configured for the public DNS, and Pi-hole is configured as local DNS, and Proxmox mail gateway. So these are all the VMs that has been configured now here inside the Proxmox. So if you want to see other aspects of this, that how the storage has been configured, suppose if I go back to server view, and I'll show you here the Synology NFS, how this particular NFS has been created here. So there is a separate video for that, and how this additional storage is configured here as LVM thin. So there is a separate video for LVM thin. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Remember to leave any questions or feedback in the comment section below. For more insights, watch the related video. Before you go, click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel and avoid missing any latest videos.